Hi, I'm Kally Forshaw-Smith, Head Medical Trainer for the Finishing Touches Group and Director and Technician of Medicos London. And today we have...
Kally Moorhouse.
Kally started in the PMU industry in 2006. She began very quickly specialising and was recognised for her hair stroke eyebrows, her own unique style. Kally's Areola micropigmentation journey started in 2016. Her first ever client showed their surgeon after she'd done the treatment, and they then carry on, and they still do now, work together. She's been teaching cosmetic tattooing since 2018 and Areola not long after. Kally has worked on many patients, perfecting her technique, style, and felt brave enough to enter her first awards in 2018, where she came third in medical. In 2019, Kally won Hairstroke Artist of the Year in the PMU Conference Award and came third in Micropigmentation Awards for Eyebrow Artist of the Year. In 2019, she won first place at the MP UK Award and came second in the PMU Awards. 2020 saw Kally voted Best Areola Artist in the PMU Circle. Kally has been a judge at a number of conferences and awards, and she's been asked to demonstrate her areola techniques in conferences all over the world. She's based in Hitchin in Hertfordshire, where she runs a successful clinic and training academy, and where she teaches her own unique techniques and styles. Kally's topic today is making a difference with areola micropigmentation. Welcome, Kally.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing? I was getting mixed up with the Kelly thing. It's quite different.
No, it's a bit of a tongue twister. Kelly. I think there was three in there somewhere as well.
Indeed. So, first of all, tell us a little bit for anyone out there who's not sure what areola micropigmentation is. What is areola tattooing?
Okay, so when somebody has had any type of surgery on their breast, so whether they've had breast cancer and they've had a total mastectomy and reconstruction, or whether they've had any surgeries from, like, when you've got people forget, you've got people that might have been burnt when they were younger and it might have damaged the nipples, so they have to reconstruct it. So it's any form of surgery as well. But the actual nipple areola tattooing that we do is actually to replicate a nipple that isn't there. So it's basically a blank canvas sometimes. Sometimes there is something there, and sometimes there's been a reconstruction bit or a piece of areola nipple left. However, the tattooing part for us is to actually recreate the design and the drawing of a nipple to actually look like a nipple, like an illusion tattoo. So it's a piece of art, basically. It's a lovely piece of tattooed art to look like a nipple for the lady again.
Or gents as well. Ladies and gents. Yeah, definitely. And in your experience, what is it about the treatment that, gives the confidence or makes someone, how does it make someone feel after having the tattooing done?
It's, there's not just one word for it, is it? There's millions, like you've done with your pieces of paper. It's mad, actually, because it's not something you can explain. It's something you can see sometimes, and it's visual. So when a lady comes to you, I get goosebumps when you talk about things like this, don't you? But when a lady comes to you in the beginning and they don't even want to look down, they don't even like to look down, and they call them mounds, or they have names for them, don't they? They don't call them breasts. And they come in and they're quite insecure. They still, obviously, even though they don't have nipples, they still have breasts. They're still quite conservative about getting changed and just down a bit. And then you do the treatment and then they see at the end. And I don't think, something just happens. And it's just like, it's amazing, isn't it? It's the most...
You never get when you've done somebody and they look in the mirror and they burst out crying, you think, I really hope their tears have dropped. Yeah. I really hope they're happy.
I think that they're so emotional. I've had a lot of ladies that didn't think that it would actually make a difference, and they came in blasé and a bit like, yeah, I want to have it done, and I don't think they realised how much it affected them when they look, and then they've like, I can't believe how much of a difference it's made. And it's not even visually, you don't have to like go in 50 times zoom and analyse them. It's not even that. It's about having something there.
Yeah, I think it gives balance, doesn't it? And it kind of takes the eye away from any kind of scarring that's there. So just, when you look in the mirror or someone else looks at you, they don't just see what you said, like a breast mound, they see a breast.
Yeah, and it is a distraction technique, because that's what I've said to a lot of them when they've looked and they've talked about other scarring. And I'm like, honestly, when you have these done, you won't even see that anymore. And it's true, isn't it? Yeah. But no, it's amazing. It's something that clicks and it just changes them. It's amazing.
Obviously, there's different ways of how someone has the surgery. They might have it from their back, from their tummy, etc. And then you get different types of scarring. Do you get asked to colour in? I do all the time. Do you get asked to colour in the well, what do I call it? The section. Yeah, where I don't do it, but have you been asked?
No, I haven't been asked to do that, and I probably would advise them against it. I would maybe look at the scar section. So if the attached piece of, obviously if it's a diet flap, or if it's a transferred piece of skin onto the breast, and people see our pictures all the time now. They didn't used to, but they do now. So they actually see surgeries. Yeah, not many, but they see surgeries, and that's really key. I think people don't know what it will look like after they've had a mastectomy and reconstruction. So once they see the surgeries, and then they realise that actually it's the attached piece of skin, isn't it? So it's the end bit. Yes, that bit might be white, but if you can do something with the scar that surrounds it and it blends better, then maybe that's an option. But I haven't had anybody ask me to colour it in.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I do the camo quite a lot, but they're like, "Can you just colour this?" And I was like, "No." But like you said, once you put the areola in place and then maybe work on the barrier of the scar, you can't really notice it anyway. I don't think so. I've never had anyone who's come back after and then said, "Actually, can you still colour it in?" They've never actually done that. They've always just been.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe just them talking to you about it. Yeah. It's an option in their head that they have to speak it out loud, don't they, to get the idea across. And then if you write it off, it's like, well, fine, at least I asked. It's like, yeah, it's fine. No, we're not doing that.
What was it that made you go into doing areola tattooing?
When I trained, I knew what I could do on the list of options of you could do this training, this training, this training. And in the beginning, I focused on permanent makeup, and I wanted to get into that and that. And then I don't know, I didn't have a cause in my family or a friend or anything like that to make me think I really want to do it. Like, so lots of people do have a personal story that they reason why they've gone in. Mine is more along the lines of, I've done a training skill and I can add on to my training skill, but also I love art. And if I had my time again when I was younger, I'd probably go into tattooing, like body tattooing. I love art and I love tattoos, and I love the whole creative side of it. So for me, I don't know what happened. One night, I just said to Carl, I'm going to do that training now. I don't know why. It just happened overnight. Booked on, did the training, and never looked back. It's amazing. And it's because I love art, and it's pretty, isn't it? It's something we can create.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's the best job in the world. It really is. It doesn't get much better. You get to colour people in all day. They feel fantastic. You feel fantastic, and you get paid for it. What more do you want?
Amazing. No, but it's quite relaxing. You get into your zone, don't you, with it? I talk to my ladies throughout the treatment, but you do get into it. It's really like, sometimes when you do brows, it's a bit like, I don't know, you do like 5 powders in a row and it's a bit like, oh, this is a bit whatever. But there's no nipples that are ever the same, are they? Ever. They're like fingerprints. I said that before, like no 2 nipples are ever going to be the same, even on one side to the other.
So I think with medical, the medical's messy. That's what I always say. It's not, but by messy, what I mean is it's not so...
regimented
hair, where instead you kind of go a bit wild. Well, I do anyway. I'm like, way off I go.
I say that when I teach as well. I say exactly that. I was like, the one thing you've got to do with this is not a hair stroke. You're not trying to make it. I said, you do a little bit of this and you do a little bit of that, and you need to look at it like, why are you doing that little doodle though? Why are you doing it? Not. Yeah, it's just not as regimented and strict.
And then when something comes back with areola, it's totally different again from like the cosmetic side, whereas you're like, right, okay, that's done that, so I need to do this. So you've got lots of other options. I think it's more free to do areola because it's a bit more creative, I think, to a certain degree, rather than regimented. So when a patient comes into you, how long in between must they wait until they come for, or do they have a second or third appointment?
Yeah, I always do 2. I would even if they say that they're fine, I still want to sort of see them, because I know that it won't be 100% perfect, but in their eyes it's great. But always 2. It's not about trying to get it all in on the first one either, because the skin has gone through a lot, and sometimes you'll know as well as, like, when whoever does areola that watches this, they'll know that you'll get a boob texture, like a diet flap, really lovely, squishy boob, lovely skin, really beautiful, amazing skin. And then you get someone that's had an expander in and their skin is like the tightest piece of like a balloon. You know that you've got to be a little bit more cautious. So you've always got to do 2. Even on the other one, there's always 2. You have to perfect your piece of art, haven't you, really?
Less is best unless it's chocolate.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Wine. At the moment, so how far in between do you get them? How far are the sessions?
I do 8 weeks. I used to do 6. I don't work hard. I don't go in and make loads of trauma. So my ladies I think they'd be fine if I want to see them in 6 weeks. But just for diary wise, it was easier just to book it everywhere 8 weeks. So it's just 8 weeks on. And they have a longer time to settle. But it makes no difference from 4 to 6 to 8, I don't think, personally.
And what's the longest time in between sessions before they should come back?
There is no, because of COVID and stuff. It's like a year. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think that it's not like with brows, because the pigments, we'll probably talk about your pigments in a sec, but it's not like brows where they're going to have a massive amount of fade and then they'll keep on fading and fading and fading. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to have to start again. Yeah. It doesn't matter if I do them in 4 months time, 6 months time, whatever happens. It doesn't matter to me when I see them. As long as I see them again, that's
is that because they kind of fade a bit pinky in tone before they eventually go away? Whereas an eyebrow, you obviously could do with topping that up so it's not pinky or there's no tones in it. With an areola in general, well, mine they fade a little bit pinkier in the skin, so they're less noticeable. You
use semi-permanent pigments, do you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I use permanent ink, so I'm not using semi-permanent at all. So I started out using LI, and I started out using, I've got some finishing touches ones as well, and I started out using those. But I didn't like the fact that it fades away. And also my patients didn't like the fact that it faded away. And also some of the fade. I posted a picture last night, actually randomly talking about this now, but I posted a picture yesterday of a neon pink nipple that was done with semi-permanent ink, and it faded like, I haven't even got a lip colour like that. It was bright neon pink. And I was quite shocked when you have a look, and I was like, oh my God. So I use permanent inks, and I spoke to my surgeon, and we've had a conversation about it, why we want to use it. But so when I do my lady my first session, and then they go away and they do their healing, and then they come back, it's just a lighter version of the same. And then if I see them in a year or 2 years time, it's just a little bit lighter version of the same. It doesn't change. It just.
So you don't do any top ups after you've done your 2 initial sessions?
No, but I have had a couple of ladies come back, because in the beginning I was super light and a bit diluting a lot of the pigments, and I just, when you just try and you're testing the water, I don't want to do it too dark. I don't want them to have this massive dark one on one side and their natural nipples really light. So on purpose in the beginning I was really light, and I always use in the range that we've got of the pigments, you've got so many in the range, I was sticking to all the lighter colours. Right. Now I don't. Now I stick to all the darker colours. Yeah. So in the beginning, all of my ladies that I tried, so maybe 3 years ago, like, they will be coming back now to boost it. But I would probably change my colour now and go in a bit darker.
I mean, the semi-permanent ones that I use, there is an organic range now, so they do last a lot longer than the water-based ones that we used to use. But I mean, we get about 3 years. But the reason I personally use those is I like it to fade. So everyone's different, obviously, with what they like and what they do. But I like it to fade because their natural skin's going to get lighter. Their areola is naturally going to get lighter, and then if you do a permanent one, then it's kind of, if it doesn't fade, then you're left with a darker one, surely.
Yeah, you are. That agreement, that's more like, yeah, if you're doing a single side, then yeah, maybe have that on your shelf and have a back idea of thinking, do you know what, actually I wouldn't mind doing a lighter one. But they still fade. Permanent inks still fade. They're still going to naturally lighten over time, so they're never going to be as strong as a real nipple anyway. But if you're doing a double, you're doing a double and the ink's in and it's going to stay the same colour. It's just when you're doing colour matching, I suppose that argument is. Yeah. But I haven't seen, I was talking to Carl about this yesterday, about camouflage as well, especially about camouflage, about the fact that when you see old ladies walking around with black hair, and you think they shouldn't have black hair because their skin tone changes, people forget that your skin tone when you're 20 and your skin tone when you're 60, 80 is different. Yeah. So yeah, when you're matching, I can understand. There's a couple of arguments about it, but I think the ladies have been through so much that they just don't want to come back every couple of years.
Oh, mine like coming back. Mine are like, oh, look forward to coming back. I can't wait. I'm like, okay. And then they come on back and then we just boost it up. But I guess it depends on pricing, clientele in general. And also I do quite a lot of their scars as well. So I need to see them again anyway. So they come back and then I'll do the extra scars or whatever it might be.
My send off is, if you want to come back in 5-7 years, come back. And they all go, oh, I didn't think I could. I was like, yeah, do, because I want to see you again. So I am on that white mindset, but I do think that they will still, because we're using skin tone and flesh tone colours, unless you're doing a really dark nipple.
Yeah.
They're still going to naturally lighten anyway. If you've got tattoos on your body, you can see that they're not the same they are years later. So even, yeah, mine are too. Tramp stamp. So it's like, I know that they will still naturally need to come back, actually. So I might just say, come back in 5 years.
Yeah, just for a chin wag, really.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I like it though, because it kind of feels more like a journey for me, and then they come back and I'm like, oh, hi, and then we just boost it back up. And also, obviously, naturally, with placement-wise as well, when you get older, or if you have an uplift of some description, then you've got, if it's permanent, you can't move it.
Yeah, but I've got, I don't know about you, because it's dependent on your surgeons, isn't it, where you live. All of my surgeons around here tend to make nipples. You know that they make the nipple. They do nipple reconstruction. So they call it nipple reconstruction, and they make the nipple, and they put the nipple in the wrong place most of the time. And I'm like, oh, and I am limited to where I want to do it. So sometimes, even if they do have something, the surgeon's made your decision for you about where you've got to put it. So yeah, but no, I don't know. I know you might want to move it, but you'll always have a halo, won't you, of something left behind, even if you moved their nipple.
Yeah, would you not? The thing is, though, if it's lighter and then you're going at that obviously darker to get the colour that you want, the original colour. Again, it's the same similar thing to the white bit behind, is you can't really see it. The eye draws away from it, and you can even needle it if it was really, I mean, dramatically in the wrong place. Yeah. If they've had some kind of surgery, or they've just maybe dropped a bit of gravity. I'm dropping. Then they can at least lift it up. Talking about the nipples, so in case anybody doesn't know what we're talking about regarding the nipples, when a surgeon does the reconstruction, afterwards they then do a nipple graft. There's different ways of doing it. Nipple shares. There's all the non-technical names, because I don't know the actual technical. So like the top hats, the helter-skelter nipple. There's all different types. They're basically like an origami nipple, so to speak. I have actually done it with origami as well. It's quite good fun. And it's made into a nipple. And now what happens is the surgeon puts it on usually after the surgery, and after the area is flattened a little bit, because it will obviously flatten down or relax down. And then they put it on. They make them at the beginning. They're like, you can hang your coat on them.
Out like that.
They are huge. But they do that for a reason, because they shrink so much, don't they?
Yeah, but I've had a lady that came over from Ireland, and we were comparing size, not comparing our own, but comparing sizes, which we do actually compare our own. But she said I haven't got a piece of paper, but over here, I find our nipples are fine. They're perfect size. They've healed lovely. Sometimes they even put something inside when they do the origami to make sure it doesn't flatten down, which I've seen a lot of recently. But in Ireland, I'm not kidding you, she said that they were like that. Can you see? Because my hand. She was like, they were like literally hanging over, where the surgeon's done too much, pulled it over, and they've literally just got a flappy bit. And she was saying, how do you tattoo that? And I was like, I don't know what you mean. I said, well, you just move it like ours. You just move it, tighten it, tattoo it. And then she showed me, and I was like, oh, so with different surgeons do different things. So yeah.
So then you've got different types of surgeries that are done where they're taking the area from a different place. So you get transverse pain, don't you?
Yeah.
That's what transverse pain is.
So do you find they get sensation in different areas of the body? And it's weird, because they say something and I'm like, really? Okay. So they'll get a sensation, like obviously if it's when they do the back transfer, you are transferring nerve endings, everything from the back to the front. So they will be able to feel different areas. But usually when I'm doing nipples, it's always up here. They feel something up here.
Yeah, mine say normally the centre of the chest or the back, where obviously it's been grafted from. I have had someone say the tummy before, but that is physically impossible.
But there is, but I don't know if it is impossible, because I was looking at the surgery, because this is what we do, don't we? We're like, oh my God, how do they do that? So when they've done DIEP flaps, if they have done the internal transfer of like the flap here, and they've gone through a channel inside the body and up and over, then I can imagine why they might feel it down here, because there might be still a nerve ending attached. But sometimes it's psychological, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, you know, like when they say that thing where you cut off like a limb and you can still feel it moving.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
We're getting very technical now. Yeah. I swear I'm a surgeon in a former life, or I want to be a surgeon.
Yeah, exactly. I've watched Holby.
Do you ever put your gloves on and have your mask on, obviously, and all of the protective gear, and then give it a little ping? It makes you feel like I'm a surgeon. Yes.
Ready for action.
Dr. Smith is ready for you now.
Oh, bless.
So how long after having the surgery does a patient need to wait?
I always ask for 6 months, and I make it really clear. So if you've got any people that are just qualified or new, I would always make it really clear on your form, ask the questions about 4 times in a different wording, because they really don't understand that if they've had their breast surgery done 6 months ago, and then they've had their nipple reconstruction done, they don't think that that's classed as surgery. Yeah. So I've had a couple of people come in and I'm like, well, I can't, that's the area I want a tattoo on. So you have to make it quite clear. So 6 months as a gauge, but only if the scarring and the area is ready for tattooing.
So is that 6 months after nipple tattooing or 6 months after surgery for the main breast?
6 months after any surgery. So if it's nipple reconstruction, wait 6 months, let that heal, fully heal, and then we'll tattoo. If it's 6 months on the breast surgery and say they've had a DF flap or even expanders, they need 6 months to wait for everything to heal before we go in and do any tattooing. And they might even think, well, my surgery is like, if it's a DF and it's like around the outside, they might think, well, why? You're tattooing here, but you're pulling the boob around in different areas, and it's too much trauma. It's not trauma, but it is for the actual tissue that they've knitted together. They've got to be patient, haven't they? Yeah, 6 months.
And are there any limitations of patients that we cannot treat, and why?
I am a bit like, I was watching Steph's the other day, and I'm a bit of outside the box. I will always look at it case by case, really. If someone is terminal and they still want it done, and even if they're on chemo, I would ask for them to speak to their oncologist or their breast care nurse and say, look, do you know what I mean? Get a recommendation before you do it, because your insurance is invalid. But limitations, it's more some like your warfarin, like your blood thinners. But other than that, I'm really quite case on case. And I had a lady the other week she's actually got skin cancer, and she came in and it was a bit like, it wasn't for areola, it was for brows, and it was the same sort of thing. It's like the skin is the organ covering the whole body. So whether they've had breast cancer and you're doing a nipple and then they've got skin cancer, so there's certain things that I'd say definitely no to, but I'm quite case on case. I don't want to say no, definitely everybody comes in. And a lot of people with the keloid and hypertrophic thing, a lot of people think that they've got keloid or hypertrophic scars, and they don't.
Yeah.
And they'll show you a little bump, but yet they've got this beautiful scar around their boob, and it's like, well, clearly you're fine. So it's a bit like you've got to take everybody on board.
Because in general, like you said about the keloid scars, when you've had breast surgery, whether it be an uplift or breast implants, you're always obviously going to have some kind of surgery and some kind of scarring, and then you get that little thin line, which everyone, like you said, think that that's a keloid scar, but it's not. That is just a little bit hypertrophic, but that will go down as well in time, won't it?
Exactly. But you've got to look at the whole body as well, and also how deep you're working. We are not surgeons, even though we like to think we are. We're not surgeons, and we're not cutting through skin, tissue, fat, muscle. Yeah. We're working on superficial on the skin. So even in some cases where I'm like, oh, any trauma to the skin is going to create a bubbling effect of your scar, I don't think that we work hard enough to create that trauma. So I'm a bit of a grey area. I would say let's have a chat, let's have a speak about it, and then weigh it up whether it's safe to do or not.
I think in the consultation, the only thing I tend to mention of anything is about the nipple, with it, possibly flattening more. And if that is something that would upset them, then I say, well, we can just do the areola, you don't have to do the nipple. But obviously we can do a 3D nipple. So if that does happen, then at least you've got something. So sometimes it's almost better, isn't it? When they come in and they're like, oh, I haven't had nipple surgery, you're like, yes.
I know, that's really awful. I know we should speak to our surgeons, actually, because there's a lot of surgeons out there, and I've seen it on LinkedIn and a lot of conversations going about, a lot of surgeons do not like nipple reconstruction, and they don't want the patient to have further trauma or further surgery, because it's always a risk. So they say, oh, what's the point of risking? And I'm actually thinking, yes, on that part, but also, yes, leave them, because then I can tattoo it where I want to put it. I can make it the same as the other side, because sometimes they make the nipple, the real side is tiny and the fake one's massive. So yeah.
Do you often, so say someone's had a unilateral, which is one side, they've had unilateral reconstruction. Do you often do the natural side as well? Because quite often someone will have an uplift or a reduction, sorry, on the natural side. Do you?
So the outside area, yeah, if they ask for it, because I'm very aware of not saying something if they don't want it. You know, like you've got to be very aware of saying to someone, oh, do you realize you've got that on your face? you can't do that. You've got to like, so yeah, if they ask, then yes, I will move on to the other side and I'll work around the outside. But this is where a lot of people will just go straight in with the pigment on the other side. Whereas there's a massive argument with just doing some needling on the other side will actually increase the melanin and get your pigment color back in, rather than always just putting ink in. So yeah, there's a bit of a look at the client and see if they need a needling treatment, and see if it increases that first before sticking ink in.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to do the whole areola on the other side in general, just because if they want to go a bit darker, I can do them to last longer if they want to. Obviously, nothing extreme.
It hurts so much that I put them off, because I'm like, it's going to hurt, and it is going to hurt. They do have a lot.
A little bit of EMLA, and they're all good to go.
No, I've had a lot of ladies ask for it, and then halfway through they're regretting asking for it.
It could be the voice that I've got them in midway through. They don't need it at all.
That's the straps on the bed.
Yeah. But no, it's obviously in each style is up to each technician of what they like to do. How long does it normally take you to do a treatment?
I do about, from start to finish with them walking in the room to when they leave, an hour and a half for one, 2.5 hours for a double. But if I've got nothing on after them and they're my last one of the day, then they might be in for a little bit longer, just because I know I haven't got a rush and I haven't got to catch up, so I take my time. But you know, sometimes I don't even look at the clock either. So it's definitely worked out, that timing, definitely, because I don't even have to look up and time myself and worry. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? You don't want to look and think, oh my God, I've only got 5 minutes left. So no, it takes an hour and a half for one, 2.5 for a double. You're quick, aren't you?
Yeah, I talk quickly though. I do everything quickly, but yeah, I get two machines. No, I don't really, but I would if I could. If I didn't look crazy and need to stretch, I probably would.
Yeah. No, I like it. I do like being, because there's nothing worse, especially, I mean, this is the thing, when you're teaching and when you're training, your client is going to be laying down for a longer period of time, regardless, because that student's going to take a lot longer. And I find that when you're teaching, do you take the same amount of time when you're teaching? Because I find I take longer.
Yeah, much longer.
Yeah, because
you're the demonstration or them in general.
No, me, when I'm doing a demonstration, I tend to stop, talk, to always, like, and I've got a bad habit of the subject gets taken away, and it's like, right, let's go back now to the subject.
Bringing it back.
Yeah, and I find that when clients are talkative, because I have a lovely time with them, and they do end up, it's like a not surgery, what is it? You know, like when that's a therapy session, yeah. And they do tell you a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's nice because they do feel really comfortable and relaxed. And then when I get into the zone, then I'm like, it's lovely. So it goes really fast. When you say, God, 2.5 hours, that's a long time, but it goes really fast.
It does, doesn't it? I think also a nice little tip that I would give to trainees who are thinking of it, write down some of the stuff that they tell you, because I forget, I got a brain like a sieve. And so if I don't write stuff down, and this is for my husband as well, no joke, but if I don't write stuff down, I actually forget it. So I just write key factors. I mean, I've only ever had it backfire once or twice where, you know, I'm like, oh, how's Spot the dog? And they're like, he died. And I'm like, oh
no.
Yeah, oh, okay. But like, in general, I quite like that. Like if I go to a salon and someone says, oh, how's Summer and Aurora? I'm like, wow, I must be really interesting because they've listened to what I said. Little do I know they've written it down, but I think it's a nice personal touch.
Yeah, I do. I've got a weird memory. I remember weird things about people, like where they went or planning on holiday. And I know that's not weird, but I won't know their name though. Yeah. I won't know their name, but I'll remember something about them.
Yeah.
And it's usually on the form. The best thing ever was on a form was occupation. Because the minute I see their occupation, it's like policewoman. Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, so occupation is the key for me. I love that because it makes me remember who they are. But do you not find with boobs as well? When we're doing a boob, I focus so much on my work and obviously on the area and all of the photos, I actually don't know who they belong to. So someone might come in for eyebrows, and I had a lady a little old lady, and she changed her hair and everything, came in for brows, and at the end of the session she then said, and I hadn't noticed even on the form, oh yeah, you did my nipple a couple of years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I didn't recognize you. But she obviously did look different. But yeah, when you do breasts, it might be an idea as well to take a picture of the head with the form, just so you can go, oh yeah, I know who they are, because they don't belong to anybody.
Who they belong to. Or when you see them the next time with their areola, you look at their face and no, and they look at the areola and go, I remember you.
That light bulb. That's why I think I need to take a photo of them just included.
Yeah, exactly. The other question I wanted to ask you is a little bit about the training side of thing. How many days is your training school?
There's pre-study now, which will be, well, probably take a couple of days, as in like you get on and jump off. Pre-study before they come in, and then my in-house is 2 days. But they have to have, I don't vet them as such, as in I don't want them to give me their some screenshots of their work. I will actually go behind the scenes and look at their portfolio on their own social media. Yeah. If they haven't got anything, then obviously I will contact them. But everyone nowadays knows how to use social media. So yeah, there have been occasions where I've had a microblading person come in and ask, and I'm like, I can't, because you need to know machine, and you need to have machine-based theory and practical hands-on. Yeah. So you can't just go from a microblader to do a conversion course and then do the course, because you haven't had any experience. So the course itself is 2 days.
Okay, at the beginning, obviously, it's quite difficult when somebody first comes into it, about how to get clients and how to get models and so on. Any tips for that?
Clients and model, I would say the best thing they can do where they live is to find out from their, if they have any people, put it on social media first of all. They won't be banned straight away either, so they can be quicker about using images. They can, and it's true, isn't it? They can put on something that probably won't get banned. So if they can put an image on, and then they'll start to get interest. The minute they get their first person in through their door, they need to find out that name of that surgeon and any breast care nurses that they know on the way. Then they should go onto LinkedIn, and then they need to find that person and then contact them, because it's not there are forums, there are private groups on Facebook, but you can't get in unless you've had breast cancer. So you can't even get in to start, because they don't want you spamming them for people for work. Yeah. But friends and family will know of somebody. So just keep putting the word out. So this, if you're a beginner, just keep putting it out. Remind yourself to put a social media post out once every couple of weeks. Another thing as well is cost and payment as well, isn't it? When you're just in the beginning, I would say personally, I would do it for free. But there are people out there that just straight away do it with, they'll do it with a percentage of a lower cost that goes to charity, which is a really nice idea as well. Or or just a really, really small percent, not even going to charity or doing it free, or just a really, really low price.
Cost, basically.
Yeah. But then there's a negative side to that. I've seen that there's a there's a tattooing side to this, tattooists. And they believe that there should never be a free treatment. They are on the understanding that if you're paying for something for free, then you're not paying for quality. And I don't agree with that. I think it's down to us as people that we do something for a reason. We don't do it because we're not good at it. I'm just doing it because
it's something you choose to do.
Yeah. So
it's your way of giving back.
Yeah, but they see it, and I'm not kidding you. I've seen this, and they're like, you should never have a free treatment. Free treatments just means you're not paying for quality. And I'm not having an argument, but so if I was saying to someone new, I would say, explain why you're doing it for free. Yeah. Don't just do it for free and just say, free treatment. Say why, and limit it. Say I'm only going to do 5. I'm building my portfolio. I am fully trained. I know what I'm doing, but I would like to offer it to you for free. Yeah,
make sure that you can use the image as well, isn't it? Because obviously if you do them for free and then you can't use the image, then it's kind of defeats the purpose of doing it, unless it's more for practice, I guess.
Yeah, I've never had someone, never once, say I can't use their photos though. They just say, no, not my head, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine, your head's not.
I tell you what I get a lot of who I can't use photos is male areola. Because obviously a lot of people think that breast cancer is a female disease. Like, there's so many men, and unfortunately the statistic of males getting breast cancer and then surviving is quite low. And I honestly think it's to do with not being able to share or not being able to show other people, you know, from the social medias and so on. We'll go on to that later. But like not being able to do it. So we need to broadcast more what it is that we do, and that it is a males affected as well.
Yeah, but if someone says no to a photograph, I think you shouldn't just take it as no, because they might have read the little paragraph on your form. So if you just explain to them, just say, look, I'll do a really close-up shot, your skin tone even, I can blur out the edges. Just do, that photo is worth so much more than any money. And this is what I would say to students as well. Do not focus on money. This is not about money gain. This is about something that you've created. And if you can get that photo to you will be worth bloody millions of pounds, because you can use it. Yeah. So if the client says, I'd rather not, just say, look, your head's not going to be in it. And if you're ever doing videos, and I would always say to my client, because I always pan around and we try to remember to do videos, don't we? I would always say to them, I never include audio, because as well, we'll have a conversation and I'll say something rude or they'll say something rude, and you know what I mean? I'll always say no audio is ever included. So whenever I'm posting something, it'll always be cut off as well. So that's a good thing to say to clients, to say, look, if I'm just going to do a quick video, just so they know. Yeah. And
also to remove, if they want you to, but to remove jewelry. I mean, you should anyway, but remove jewelry, or if they're holding, you know, something like the piece of paper, if they're holding that for when we do it. If they want to be anonymous, then they must just remove their jewelry. So there's no distinguishing features, really.
Yeah. And in tattoos, you can always blur them out as well. So editing nowadays, there's so many people out there.
I can just about turn the computer on.
Just put a bit of paper over the tattoo. Yeah. But no, there are ways now.
If you had to choose 3 pigment ranges for Areola, what would they be?
I have got the world famous pink ribbon set. I've also got the permablend set. And I've also got a company called Waverley, and not many people over here have heard of Waverley. Waverley, I actually got it shipped in from America, because I'm on a lot of American forums and I like to listen and watch what people are doing and seeing, and they were discussing it for a long time. So it's really highly pigmented. So it's just a really nice, long, strong lasting pigment. But when it comes to Areola, in the beginning, I would recommend buying a set from a company. So whoever you train with or whoever you go with, they will always have an Areola range. Pick the Areola range because they've done it for a reason. Yeah. Once you've then got established and you know what you're doing, you can then go and start looking at different colors and going, oh, that would be a really nice color. Because when you're starting out as well, a lot of the lighter colors, people will go, oh, that's a really good, nice light color, but it contains so much titanium in it that it ends up healing quite chalky and quite not nice. So actually, stick to the pigment ranges that you can get for Areola first of all. Yes. And then start adding to your collection, like we all do.
Good tip, I like that. What percentage-wise do you do in your clinic, medical and cosmetic?
Monday to Friday, brows, eyes, lips, and then Monday to Thursday, brow, eyes, and then Fridays is boob day.
Oh, it's Friday boob day.
Friday's boob day. So it's on purpose, because my studio is set up that I share a room with another girl. So I have another lady always work. There's 2 of them. They share between the 2. And then on Fridays, they're not in. So I know I can have the room to myself. So that is why I've always done it. It just makes more sense. And also I've got a lot of people that travel. I don't know about you as well. They travel down. So if I do it on a Friday, which means they can go out, and we live in the town centre, they can stay overnight and go out for dinner, and they make a weekend of it. So actually Fridays work out quite well. Percentage wise, I'd probably say, I don't know, 60-70% brows, the other Areola. Amazing. Just because I've got a balance between free clinics that we do and then the paid clinics. So adding them both together. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned earlier, obviously, about it's nice to be able to do people for free or to do discounts and so on. But I mean, we are a business as well. So we do have to make, obviously, a living, even though we can't at the moment. But also that's another bonus as well, is that were you able to go back doing the medical work a little bit sooner than the cosmetic work?
Yeah, in the last lockdown, we weren't allowed to do faces. So straight away, I was like, I can do boobs. So I got all of my boob ladies in. which was brilliant. So I had days and days worth. I loved it. Honestly, if I could do that all day, I love my brows. Don't get me wrong, everybody. I love doing brows. But if I could do that all day, I would, because it's so lovely. But my back does kill after a while. So I think the change in between the two is quite good, because you're in a different position. Yeah,
I think that's it as well, is making sure, it sounds like silly things when you're doing a treatment, but making sure that your stool is comfortable. I mean, quite a lot of people use those like saddle ones, but I just find them a bit weird.
Yeah, I've gone away from the saddle now, because I found that the saddle was giving me
back.
Yeah. So, yeah. So now, no, I actually treated myself in the Black Friday sale to a new chair. Like an amazing,
did you?
Yeah, it's a Tatsol one, like a proper tattooist person, but it's got a back on it, and I've never had a back on my chair. So it's just, you get in a position, and I'm actually sitting on it now, and I'd never use my back because I'm not a laid back person when I'm doing, but it just means that when you are resting, you're in a good position. So yeah, saddles I've gone away from. I found it opened my hips up too much, and then when I'm leaning like this, I was in a weird position.
I actually have to, because you do, don't you, after the years of doing it, and particularly areola, I think, because you're even, well, I'm even closer when I'm doing it. I do hunch quite a lot. You've got to, when you finish, you've got to stretch out, because you will end up a bit like, I'm like that, Esmeralda, you know, the hunchback and opted arm. Definitely, it's very sore. And also to make sure you go and have massage. I have chiropractor now, well, not anymore, but I did have a chiropractor because it was getting really bad.
You can go to an osteopathy person, still open. You can go to that while we're off. I think they're still allowed. But exercise, everyone was saying, like, even the lady that we get here, that one of our girls does massage, and she was saying to me, you really need to do some exercise. I was like, you can shut up. But actually, when you start exercising, and it doesn't start off straight away, but when you realize that you're actually building up strength in your core and your back, you actually less ache more. So actually being fit helps you work. If you're not fit, then you will get worse. It's mad, isn't it? So
that's
I did
what's happening to me.
Yeah. What, not doing anything?
I'm not doing anything. I'm like, oh. So also, what's your favorite part of doing the areola treatment?
Probably the treatment itself. I love doing the tattooing, and sounds awful because it's not an experiment, but I do like to trial and think, today, because also the best part is I don't know, and this is what I say to my students, I don't know what it's going to look like when I start. I actually don't know how it's going to, and they're like, do you have a picture in mind? I'm like, not really, no. I just do my steps, because everything is regimented. When you learn, whoever teaches you, they will always teach you in steps. You do this first, you do this second, you do this. So I will always follow my steps, regardless of the person, the color, the size of the nipple, everything. I'll always follow my steps. So I know that it will come together. How it comes together, I don't know, because halfway I'm like, God, this is gonna, I don't know where this is going. And then it's like, wow, halfway, you've moved, if it's a double and you're moving from one side to the other, I'm like, wow, that is amazing. Now I've got to do it again on the other side and remember what. But so I think the best bit is probably their reaction, because halfway as well, I've done halfway, I've shown them halfway before. Because I'm so excited, and I'm like, oh my God, that is amazing. And then some of them will look down and they can see, some of them can't see because of angles and stuff. But so I did a post the other day about halfway through, and I did a video. So if you remember, this is what you've got to remember as well, is if you do remember and you're moving from one side of the trolley to the other, and you do deglove and you pick your phone up, take a picture, because, oh my God, seeing it halfway is like, wow, look at that. That's amazing. So I think the actual doing it.
Right, I might steal that.
Yeah, honestly, I when I teach as well, I would always say, take as many photos as you possibly can. As many. You don't have to use any of them, but if you don't take them, you'll regret it. But halfway, do take a halfway shot, especially from above. When the lady's laying down, and you can get one from above when they're laying down and you see it. It's just amazing.
Do you have your patients flat or upright or
slightly up? I can have them at any angle, upright, really high if they've got bad back and they don't want to go back. But I have it at a happy medium, probably about 45 degrees. Exactly. But I've started getting them lower just because of my back. So I've started having them lower, which means I can work on them. Whereas if they're higher, then I angle myself a bit more. So it's about our position, isn't it? But I am aware of, I like them up higher. I think that the treatment feels nicer. They're not laying back on a slab as such. Like, it's a bit like, if you're having your eyebrows done, you understand why you're laying flat, but I don't know if I like the idea of them lying flat.
I have mine flatter-ish because I like to lean. I'm a leaner.
I'm a leaner.
I'm doing it and I hold down. And I just think that if they're up too high, I can't rest my arm when I'm doing it.
I've never had them too high. I would always say it's probably about 45. And if you look at the beds, I don't want them too high. I want them to be laying back comfortable, but not.
And also quite a nice tip as well, if their back's hurting, to put something under their knees.
Yeah, bolster.
That always helps somebody. And I think to keep warm as well, there's nothing worse, is there, when you go somewhere? I remember going to a beauty treatment and being freezing. And like, I know. Was thinking, I'm so cold.
No one asks. And even we've got a beautician here, and I actually went in before in lockdown, and I went in and she didn't even offer me a blanket on the day, like towels. And I was like, can I have a blanket as well? Because I like to be super comfy.
Yeah, same.
But I will, and I do say that again to anybody that comes in the room, like the clients and students, I'm like, be aware of your surroundings, because you might be warm and covered in all your PPE. Yeah. They are being half naked on the bed. Most ladies will go, it's fine, I'm going through the change, I'm hot all the time. But yeah, just make sure that the room's comfortable. I really, really am hot on that. I hate the fact that they're cold. And I've got a weird tip with, do you use gowns?
Yes.
Do you use gowns?
Not always, but yeah, some ladies would like a gown.
Yeah, so as a courtesy gown, we offer them a gown, don't we, for just like for them for comfort. But I have a tip of cutting them up. I get my scissors out and I chop them up so that they have like a crop version on purpose, because they come full length gowns. Are they the ones you get as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they come like full length. So I'll cut them up so they're like normal jumper height.
Okay.
So they lay down, they're not laying on loads of fabric, and then you've got to try and fidget around them. So I chop it up so that doesn't happen, so they don't have to do it. Yeah,
this is a great. Why don't you design a gown which is halfway and call it a Kally gown? We could call it the Kally gown.
Yeah. There's some shoes, isn't there? Kallys.
It's Nelly Kelly. It's very confusing. I love that. That's good.
Now, when we ran out because of PPE and the COVID virus, my gowns are full length. I was cutting them in half, and I had 2 gowns out of 1. I'm not kidding you. So I would cut armholes in it and then have it over. So I actually got, I was like, so I've got a whole cupboard full of half cut off bits of fabric that I know, worst case scenario, I've always got that to drape on them. And I like the blue. So I'll again, when I give everything away when I teach, I tell everything, like when you're giving it the whole life.
Yeah.
I love the blue in the photos because it's a medical color.
Yeah.
So when I take my photos on purpose, I love them to have a gown on. So even if the client says, I'm a bit hot, I don't really want to wear one, I'm like, could you just do it for the photo and then just take it off? Because I said I like to have it in for the picture, and she's fine. So yeah. But I like the blue colour.
Great tip. That is a brilliant. See, I'm learning. This is good. I'm enjoying
it. I know.
That's excellent. So tell me, I know we're in the same boat for this. Let's talk social media.
I know.
What exactly is it that's going on with social media and areola tattooing?
You cannot. There's an algorithm, and I do believe it's a mixture. We know from the way that it happens is a mixture of people physically clicking, yes, this is nudity. And then there's a mixture of an algorithm for the computer. The computer will see a breast curve and it knows it's a breast. So within 3 seconds, it's gone and it's off. And that is the computer algorithm. When you've had something posted and like 6 months later, that disappears, that is somebody clicking, this is nudity, and they're reporting it. So there is a difference, and we know when it happens, and it is really frustrating. But the social media side of it is there's a community guideline with Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram, and also I've got banned from YouTube. Yeah. So be careful on YouTube, because I can't even get my account back. So they've got a community guideline where they say that they're not allowed to public anything nudity. It's not seen as anything they want on there, so they say no, and it's a flat no. But in the small print underneath, it says you're allowed to show images of breastfeeding and mastectomy scars.
Yeah.
So our argument is we are showing an image of a mastectomy scar, because that is obviously the breast that's been reconstructed, and we've put a nipple on it. When I speak to people about it, and I don't try and get angry, it's pointless, isn't it? Who you arguing with? Nobody. I do see the problem with Facebook. I see what they see, because when people are clients or friends, just random someone in Starbucks, when they open their Facebook page and they're in the queue and a boob pops out, it is embarrassing for them, and they don't want to have boobs all over their forum. So I can see how Facebook keeps saying no. I can understand why. I get it. I think that yes, they are boobs now, and yes, they're nipples, and yes, they look like real nipples. That's the problem we've got. I don't understand why we get banned from groups, and I don't understand why we can't post in a private group, because that group's been vetted, isn't it?
Exactly. Also, what I don't understand is, it did it to my account the other day, where it put like a screen, so it said nude image if you would like to, or sensitive image or something like that. You can press on it basically to open it up and have a look. Why can't we just do that?
I know. That's like Dr. Pimple Popper. When you click on hers, I love a bit of Dr. Pimple Popper. When you click on hers, the whole Instagram, it's got a phase, and it's sensitive image, click here. So there is a button, but I don't know why. But I've got a photographer client, and she's quite big in the photography world, and she has just had one of her clients that she took a photo of. She was a black lady, and she was a plus size model, and she was grabbing her boob and holding her boob in a way that the computer said no. And then they argued it out with the guy, Adam something, who owns Instagram. And they've basically managed to get this argument across. And now he's added it in that a plus size model, she wasn't grabbing her boob in a sexual manner. She was grabbing her boob because she's a plus size model and she wasn't showing her nipple.
Yeah.
So there is a way to get to Instagram's people. There is a way somehow. But what I said to her was, when she was laying down, I was like, what we need is a different color tick.
Yeah.
As professionals. So as a medical professional, we should have a yellow tick or a green tick, and blue tick should be celebrities. And then if someone looks at us and they write, right, we are verified, that's the way I think it should be done.
Yeah, I agree. Or we could maybe have a code word if we're in our industry, which kind of gets spread through our industry, which is, I don't know, like the necessity, not nudity, whatever word it is. And then they know from that hashtag that you put on that it is okay. I don't know. It needs something, because it is ridiculous.
But that could be abused as well, because then someone putting porn on might just copy it and put it on.
Yeah, true.
But the only way that Instagram and Facebook can work is to validate you as a person and say, right, I want your insurance, your certificates, and once you're on, you're validated.
They're probably not going to want to do that because of the amount of time and so on, but it's very frustrating. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm looking for other platforms already.
Yeah,
I've just had enough. It actually pees me off quite a lot. Yeah.
Well, I was posting loads, and even Carl says to me now, "Cool, you're pushing it with that one," and I'm like, Instagram doesn't take it off as much, but I am starting to see them go. Every now and then, a message saying that one's gone.
Yeah.
But always appeal. The top tip is, if you're on Instagram or Facebook and you get the notice up, right at the bottom it says okay, but there's always a button that says appeal. Make sure you wait and appeal it. Screenshot it and keep a record for yourself. But Instagram says sorry, puts it back on. Facebook just says no.
Yeah.
So I hate Facebook, but I've started, and Elle made a point of saying the other day that if you put circles, because if you put circles in your, like, so she said footballs and tennis balls, but I didn't want to do that because that's not related to what the picture is. The computer can't see circles, it confuses itself and it can't see it. So that's why I posted a couple of days ago with a test, and it has stayed up.
Oh, wow. I might try that. Well, actually, otherwise it's going to be 30. I think I'm 3 months next time. If I get caught again, I'm 3 months, and it kind of just puts me off. But I might set up another account, actually, with my name. Vicky Martin recommended it. She was like, so why don't you set up another account with your name? I was like, oh, but then I've got loads of accounts. She went, it's not there for, you being friends with, but you can actually post from there, and then your own account. So when I get banned now, I get banned for the last time was a month, and my personal account and my work account get banned. So she was like, do that, and then you can post that onto your account because you can share pictures. I thought, well, that's a way around. And also, I saw you were talking about the circles and stuff. I saw that somebody had put, so you've got the breast mount. They put something underneath the breast mount. So it was interesting that you said about the contour of the breast.
Yeah, that was that American lady, isn't it? She was, put flowers or something.
Yeah.
But it's just confusing the computer, but it'll only take one person to click on it and report it.
Yeah, true.
And that's the problem we've got with Facebook. So I actually have fallen out of love with it, and I've stopped posting, which is dangerous in our industry, because you don't want to not be seen to people understand, and also for clients. Yeah. When you start out, you need your clients to see your work so that they can tell someone else. So Facebook's a nightmare, and you can always put a link to your website, but who clicks on links?
I know. What other platforms are there that we could advertise our work? What do you think that is?
Twitter is, I don't think no one uses, well, our industry doesn't use Twitter as much as it should. Twitter's massive, isn't it? But people are going off of Twitter. I don't know, you can't even put it on TikTok, because TikTok's part of the rest of them. I don't know, really. Yeah. I just don't know anymore. I've lost the will with social media, because I can see that their argument is always going to be, that is a boob and you're trying to post a boob.
Yeah.
Stop doing it. And I was like, yeah, but why?
There are forums. I started up that forum, Allow Areola Imagery, and we're coming together on that. So hopefully, between us all, I think if we all rally together, we'll come up with something. We're hopefully going to do something about it, and then it will pave the way for new technicians to get their work up as well.
Even if it's a format that the first image was never the boob. Do you know what I mean? Even if you said to the Facebook, right, the first image we post will never be the breast. It's always on the second or the third. So you have to scroll. Why don't they do that and say, right, that's fine? Then the person, when they're scrolling, can choose to swipe or not. Yeah. There's things, isn't there? But it just feels at the moment that we're not getting heard because we are too small. We're not big enough for them to worry about. We're not, are we? We're tiny.
That's why I think we should join force and get people all over the world on it as well. So that would be a really good thing to do. How do you see the medical areola industry going once we get back to work? How do you see it going in the future?
Bigger, I do think. When you started ages ago, but when I first started, social media was still new to people. They were still trying to find their feet with trying to post. And yes, we shouldn't rely on that. We should rely on like our websites and stuff. But the more people that are learning and producing amazing work, like the work that they produce now, someone that's just learned, is amazing. There's more artists out there, which means the industry is getting a bit more recognizable now. There's more award categories out there for people to try and get recognized, so that they can start to see, like, do you know what I mean? Just to get a bigger feeling. So I think that the medical side of it as a whole, not just areola, the whole medical side of it will explode a little bit more now, because people are realizing that they can look at the whole of the body and everyone's scar, or anyone that wants camouflage, that actually that medical side is and because of our industry with permanent makeup, you can move on and upskill. That's how I think that this will just get bigger and bigger. But as long as the training companies are understanding what they're teaching, because I've had so many, and you'll have the same, you have people come to you who've already taught, they've already learned how to do areola. And there are lots of training schools out there. There's hundreds of out there, aren't there? Mm-hmm. And they come to you and they didn't get taught something so basic. So there's always going to be a big flux of people doing it, but maybe not in the best way. So yeah,
that's what I hope is that. I mean, I had it the other day. Back in the day when we could work, I had a lady come in who trained, and then went on and opened up a areola training school, not even having the healed results of their own models.
Yeah, shocking. And I don't know how you regulate it. I don't know how, but it's disgusting, because people are not even, they don't know, they haven't had. I went into areola after years of working on people's faces with tattooing. I didn't learn permanent makeup, did it for a year, learned areola, then created a school. But that seems to be, the way that people do it. They've literally been in the industry for 2 years and they're teaching.
Yeah, not even this lady, no joke, 1 week after the training. And I did say to them at the time, like, this is not good. You know, you need years in order to do this. You're not, and again, not that you want to muck up on anybody, obviously, no, but on somebody who's gone through maybe breast cancer, or there's some kind of disfigurement or illness or whatever it might be, or surgical things that have gone wrong. This is the last thing that they need in the journey. So I think it's really selfish and insensitive. To do that. They need to have qualification, definitely.
But you and like you said, you don't see everything. You could be doing it for 3, 4, 5 years and you still don't see something. You need to have knowledge or be confident enough in your own work and your aftercare and everything around it. You need to be confident that your clients are walking away and you're like, do you know what, that lady's safe. I've done everything right. And I'm not worried if she comes back. I am really not worried if someone comes back with a problem. Whereas if you're new to it and you've only learned 5 minutes ago, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You can't teach that. All they're doing is teaching how to, not everything, isn't it? Anyone can teach how to use a pencil, but it's everything surrounding.
I also think, like, I know that you do it as well, because you do like art, like I do as well. But it's constant practicing. I mean, even now, like with lockdown, like the amount of areolas I've done. I mean, my fruit bowl is covered in areolas because I ran out of the skin. So I was like, oh, I'll use a fruit. I'll use some melons. Yeah.
Where's the nipple on here, mummy?
Yeah, what's going on here?
So my son was up here the other day, and he was having a Zoom class, and he was in the clinic, and his background, I was like, be careful of your background, because it's literally boo, 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 boo. But he's so used to it, he doesn't see it anymore either. But our kids, don't they? Our kids are immune to boobies and nipples. They don't see it like other
my
people.
girl was going to school and she came back upset, and I was like, what's wrong? She said, Jonathan says you're not a doctor of eyebrows. And I was like, I am a doctor of eyebrows. She was like, you make them better. You've got a stethoscope. And I was like, yes, I do.
Bless her.
Pure lies, not only damaging them a little bit, it's all good. Kally, this has been absolutely brilliant. So people can contact you directly if they've got any questions. They can contact me if they've got any questions as well. And I must say, as one artist to another, I think your work is outstanding. It's beautiful what you do. And also I get the added bonus of knowing how it makes somebody feel. And it really does make a difference to somebody's life. And yeah, a massive thank you for joining me today. And I hope to chat to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been lovely. Thank you.
Lots of love, darling. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.